Welcome back to Cover's Bracket Breakdown, round of 32 games on Sunday, presented by Bet365. We're here with Douglas Farmer, Rohit Pannaiya, and myself, senior analyst Jason Logan. And we're going to break down the Sunday games before we get a little bit of a break. And I will say, guys, let's mention the records so far. Pretty impressive. Doug, what's the count right now?
You're going to make me pull up that tab. All I really know is we are absolutely crushing it. Let's see.
Here we go.
One more moment of vamping to scroll on down.
15-8 plus 10.65 units so far for this show.
I think that's called good. I'm not an exact expert on words per se, but that's called good, right? We should clarify, JLo, that's not counting Saturday's results. We are recording this early enough on Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday results
that was round of 64 results. And I will say, you guys piggybacked me yesterday. I had a very money in, money out kind of day. But I mean, Rohit on fire, Doug absolutely on fire. A great start to March Madness. So hopefully everyone's following along, finding these odds, finding these bets at Bet365. So let's not wait any longer. Let's jump right into it. Rohit, how about you give us our best bet for Sunday's action?
Yeah, it's a bit of a different one. It's almost a teaser of sorts. I'm doing a same game parlay with Duke Baylor. I'm taking Duke alternate spread minus 6.5, taking the alternate total over 138.5. That's on minus 105 over at Bet365. Now, I love Duke in this spot. I do think they're going to hammer Baylor, but I think the spread right now is about minus 12 is a little bit too rich for me. I do think they're going to win by at least a couple of possessions, significantly better on both ends of the floor. Big deal, too, of course, is that they're also a lot bigger. Baylor, they have only one player in their rotation over 6'5". Only that guy is 6'7". That is their best and biggest player inside. And you've got a Duke team that has nobody shorter than 6'5" in their rotation, and they've got a 7-foot center down low. So big size advantage there. I think Duke is a little bit too deep, has too much firepower on offense, and is too good defensively here. At the same time, I also have to say that this Duke team has been playing at a much faster tempo lately. They slowed down a little bit in the ACC tournament when Flay got injured, but he's back. I think they're ready to run. We saw them put up a ton of points just towards the end of the regular season there. So I think we're going to see a lot of points from them against this weak Baylor defense. So give me the over 138.5 and Duke minus 6.5.
All right. Those mismatches, specifically the size mismatches, I mean, I always find they mean so much in that second game. You know, your second game in 3 days is it wears on you there. Douglas, what do you like in the Midwest? Best bet?
There's only one Sunday game in the Midwest. That's Kentucky against Illinois. Pretty much a coin flip game. So if you want to call this a best bet, let's be dramatic. Let's call it an upset pick. I'm taking Kentucky on the money.
You're getting ahead of us. All right.
It's the words here don't mean any. Best bet upset is plus 110. We're going to take the dramatic.
Yeah, sure.
Kentucky plus 110 at Bet365 against Illinois. The Wildcats will be glad to shoot it, taking threes on nearly 42% of their shots this season, making more than 37% of them. That three-point percentage ranks number 24 in the country, and that stands out to me because nobody could shoot well in the SEC. Now, was that because the SEC defenses were so good or the offenses were that bad? Chicken, egg, it's probably a little bit of both. So there's still a compliment to Kentucky. You shoot well in the SEC, it stands out. Illinois' defense, I discussed this earlier, it has been a problem from three lately, giving up 39.9% from deep in the last month. Even in its loss on Friday, Xavier went 9 of 23 from deep, 39%. Illinois survived thanks to a rebounding edge, plus 19 on the glass. Kentucky is better equipped to counter that rebounding, simply a major conference reality. Amari Williams alone is better equipped to counter that after he rewarded us with a first-half prop bet cash on Friday. Battling Illinois on the glass while taking advantage of the Illinois' defensive slippage on the perimeter, that's going to create a mild upset and or best bet here with Kentucky plus 110.
Yeah, that Illinois defense will just not get off the bus some games, man, and they look terrible. So I'm with you there with Kentucky. I'm gonna cover for Chris Hatfield in the South, who's been doing a great job in the South region. I'm gonna go to Michigan State minus 7. Playing New Mexico. New Mexico likes to play with pace, but doesn't run very deep. They really just have a 6-man rotation. You're looking at 284th in bench minutes, 234th in bench points, and they're coming off a physical game against that Marquette defense. Now they're taking on the deep team, the team that runs real deep. Michigan State, probably the deepest team in the tournament there. Comfy going way, way down the bench. 19th in bench minutes, 34.4 bench points per game. That's fourth most in the country. And, if this, like I said, if this wasn't the second game in 3 days type situation, maybe New Mexico keeps it close. Maybe they keeps it close here over the first half. But I think MSU's depth just wears on. And the Spartans can score at the rim. 31st in points in the paint, 25th in finishing at the rim. New Mexico, bad interior defense, bad at protecting the rim. Giving up 30.5 points per game. I think MSU pulls away, covers this game by 7. And we might as well, if you want to make it a big all Big Ten parlay, you can tee it up with my best bet in the West, who is Maryland -7. The Crab 5 just got too many different ways to hurt you, man. They can pan you inside with Queen and Reese. They can hit you outside. Gillespie can hit those shots. They can get out and run on you as well. They are the number 6 defense in the country. Very disruptive. 13th in forced turnovers, 37th in block, 55th in steals. They do a great job flipping defense into offense. More than 18 points off of turnovers per game. Colorado State, not a great defense. Poor 3-point perimeter protection, and they can get sloppy with the ball handling as well too. I see Maryland winning this one by 12, by double digits. I really, really like the Terps. Let's jump into the player prop market. And Rohit Pannaiya, what are you looking at there for a player spotlight?
Yeah, I was waiting really with the bated breath. We're filming this, we're recording this on Saturday afternoon. Was really waiting for Alabama St. Mary's props to come out. This is such an interesting matchup because we've got an extremely fast Alabama team, fastest pace in the country. We've got an extremely slow St. Mary's team, one of the slowest tempos. And what we usually see is player props kind of on both sides come a little bit closer to the mean. You're going to see Alabama play with a slightly slower pace. You're going to see their props suppressed, and you're going to see St. Mary's players having to play at a slightly higher tempo, and you're going to see those numbers usually tick up a bit. So you kind of want to look at the player props market, see if any of those don't really align with that. And I noticed that while Alabama's player props are a little bit down compared to their usual numbers, the same hasn't happened to St. Mary's. We haven't seen those numbers tick up at all. And so I really like the over 9.5 points for Luke Barrett. That right now is -105 over at Bet365. This guy barely comes off the floor. In the last 6 games, he has sat out just 8 minutes. He's scored at least 12 points in 4 of those 6 games, taken at least 10 field goal attempts in those contests as well. Like I said, Alabama, they are so fast. And we've seen them play 2 games against teams that are really tough defensively with a slow tempo. That was Tennessee, that was Houston. And both of those games ended up being a slightly higher pace than Houston and the Bulls are used to. So I think we're going to see the same happen here.
All right, sounds good. And you found great value in the player prop markets with Alabama in that Robert Morris game, and found some value there. A big +300 winner because they weren't adjusting for the way that Alabama plays. That's great. Doug, player props in the Midwest.
I will start in the Midwest. It goes hand in hand with that best bet. If I'm taking Kentucky +110 because it's going to shoot threes, it makes sense to go find a player who's going to make threes. Koby Brea over 2.5 made threes. It's available at -110 at Bet365. Anyone who hits 3 threes in a March game gets remembered. His 1 season in Lexington might put him in Kentucky lower. He's made at least 40% of his threes in all 4 years of his career. The first 3 of those years coming at Dayton. Averaged 2.4 threes per game in SEC play, taking 6 per game. Against Illinois, he's going to want to shoot even more because, again, they're giving up those open looks. He's hit 3 threes in 7 of his last 11 games. In other words, he's cashed this prop in 7 of his last 11 games. Does not take much more explanation than that. If I'm betting Kentucky at +110, I need to go find a player to cash those threes. It's Koby Brea.
All right. And you do have a player prop in the South, too. You might as well jump right into it while you're warmed up.
I do not know how to say this strongly enough. Mississippi is a problem on the glass. J-Lo, you might grab 4 rebounds in 20 minutes against Mississippi. They are dead last in the SEC in offensive rebounding, number 13 in defensive rebounding. There's no single rebounder on that roster who can have a great night to make up for it. Iowa State star Joshua Jefferson is going to eat on the glass. I'm taking him at 8+ rebounds, even money. He's notable on the glass on both ends of this court. He's cleared this. Now, he did clear this prop in only 8 of 20 Big 12 games, but he averaged 7.5 rebounds per game. And while those might not sound convincing, I need to emphasize Mississippi is so bad on the glass. I only say J-Lo might grab a few boards because he's got a few inches on me. I think I would grab a board or 2 against Mississippi. Joshua Jefferson should have no trouble coming near 10, in fact, if you really want to get aggressive.
I think you're selling my rebounding abilities very short, man. I mean, that was pretty much my job in university. I was just grabbing boards and playing point forward, man.
Okay, so you get 5 or 6 rebounds and a half. I'll get.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm going over my 5.5 rebound total against Mississippi for sure. I'm gonna give you my player prop for the West as well, and it involves some rebounding too, but a guy that is much better at rebounding than most out there. I'm going to take in Derik Queen, and we're going to spin this up a little bit. It's going to be Derik Queen, Maryland freshman center. We're going to go SGP. We're going to go 15 plus points, 10 plus rebounds. It comes out to plus 145. Queen, 10 boards in 11 of his last 14 games. He was a monster on the glass with 15 rebounds against GCU yesterday or in the Friday game. And this is a guy that does not shrink against big competition, even as a freshman. And at this point, I always say these guys aren't freshmen anymore when they're this deep into the tournament. He had a massive 31-point game against Michigan. He's projected for as many as 18 here against Colorado State. We're just going to go 15 plus, 10 plus rebounds. And we look at Colorado State, they gave up 32 points in the paint against Memphis, and it was the Tigers post players that were chewing them up inside. So I like Derik Queen, the diaper dandy, to have the SGP 15 plus points, 10 plus rebounds, plus 145. As I said, we get a little deeper into the bracket. Upsets are a little hard to come by unless your name is Douglas Farmer and you have a nose. You have a nose for the upsets. Lay it on us, baby. Let it up. Hey, you've been hitting here. I'm waiting to see you this McNeese State game today. It's going to be awesome.
Well, I'm going to come straight at you here because somebody either did not read all the show notes or chose to ignore them. And that same person has completely abandoned their bracket. I have it in front of me right here. Jason Logan's expert March Madness bracket prediction has New Mexico in the Elite Eight. But earlier in this show, he comes in and takes Michigan State next 7 as a best bet. I'm going to go ahead and run counter to you and take New Mexico money line plus 265 at Bet365. Now, this has been a chalk-heavy tournament, but I've hit a few of these money line upsets already. I'm going to go for one more. The Lobos rise to their level of competition. I said it before the Marquette game, and they took it to Marquette on Friday. Let's include that. They're now 8-2 outright against teams in the tournament compared to 19-5 otherwise. More notably, and specifically something that somebody named Jason Logan should have noted, New Mexico is 7-3 against the spread against tournament teams, 9-12 in all their other games. It's a veteran team, an underappreciated coach, a tempo that may make Michigan State uncomfortable. These are keys to an upset. Now, Michigan State lives on the glass, and it will be a challenge for New Mexico to keep them off the boards. But March is a time for names to ring loudly. Have you ever heard a name you want to tell your friends about more than Nelly Jr. Joseph? He's their best rebounder. Nelly Jr. Joseph could be the key to New Mexico pulling off this massive upset at plus 265 at Bet365 and giving me even more bragging rights over J-Lo.
I thought you were going to say a name that you want to say in March, and I thought you were going to say Jace Richardson because he's going to have a nice game against the Lobos here. I look at that matchup in depth, and Michigan State is a team that just wears you down, man. And there's no letdown from them. Like, they go 8 deep onto their bench, and they're scoring. Their defense does not let up. As much as I do respect the Lobos, I looked into this one. I looked at Lobos first half because I know MSU has been very slow out of the gate in first halves, but Sparty in the -7 to me in this one. This is why I hate that. I don't like Philly. I'm not a bracket guy. Brackets are like a last minute thing for me, and I send them off. Ro, you got any upsets there in the East?
Yeah, I mean, why don't we just go along and add it to that Big Ten SGP you're doing? Let's do Maryland. Let's
parlay,
do Michigan State,
Big Ten parlay,
and let's add Oregon to that. I love Oregon with the spread, with the points here against Arizona, but I also like them on the money line. There's a few ways you could kind of go at them here, but I really do like the spot for them. It's a really interesting matchup. I mean, these guys are former Pac-12 rivals. This game's taking place in Seattle. Definitely a little bit of nostalgia in this matchup. And if you look at this Arizona offense and what they do not shoot three-pointers well at all, outside the top 200 in three-point percentage. So where do they get buckets? They score in transition. They attack the rim. They were able to do that in the first round against an Akron team that's one of the smallest in the country. They're not going to have an easy time doing that against an Oregon squad. Oregon, of course, does a good job of protecting the rim thanks to Nate Biddle down low, extremely good rim protector. And they've also, as far as the Wildcats go, their transition offense has really stalled lately. They were averaging nearly 15 fast break points per game before their last 5 contests. over their last 5 contests, just 9 points per game on the fast break. So I don't think Arizona is going to have quite as much offensive success as they have been in the past. You look at their team total, it's sitting at 78.5. Taking the under on that is another angle I like as well. Keep in mind that Oregon, since the midway point of February, has the 5th best defense in the country in terms of adjusted defensive efficiency. The other thing I like about Oregon in this matchup is their head coach. I was talking about that in the first round as well. Dana Altman has done such a great job at making adjustments in a tournament setting, especially on short turnarounds. We've seen that in recent March Madness appearances, as well as earlier this season in the Players Era Festival, where Oregon beat Texas A&M, San Diego State, and Alabama in a 5-day span. So I'm expecting them to keep outperforming expectations, like them on the money line here, plus 145.
Just when you think the Pac-12 is dead, it comes crawling back from the grave in the tournaments. Douglas, we wouldn't. I feel like you got another. I feel like you got another upset in your pocket, don't you?
No, because the Midwest has only the one game tomorrow. And coming into March Madness, I said on Monday that New Mexico would be a Sweet 16 team. I said it going into Friday's games. I'm going to call my shot there. I'm going to stick with that one. If you want to call Kentucky a moneyline upset at plus 110, okay. I'll call it.
That's what it was. Yes, you had the Kentucky one as well, too. MSU was going to live and die by that 3, which they have towards the end of the year. They shot the ball really, really well from 3-point range. They were hitting like 9 3-pointers a game, which was very uncharacteristic for them. If they can continue to shoot that well, I don't know, brother.
I'm not worried.
Okay, we'll see. We'll talk on Monday morning, won't we?
We will talk during that game. Sure.
Yes, that might actually have to be a thread going back and forth. All right, that is it for the round of 32 Sunday games. Our bracket breakdown presented by Bet365. If you want to follow us and follow Doug's upset run and follow Michigan State covering that 7-point spread, you can follow me on X at CoversJLo. Douglas?
D_Farmer, and we will presumably have even more of these coming for y'all on the Covers YouTube, Covers Sports on YouTube there.
Yeah, and Rohit.
Yeah, you can give me a follow over on X, Covers_Row, Covers_RO. Give me a follow on X there.
All right, we hope you enjoyed the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament and our bracket breakdowns. Good luck out there, and we will talk to you for the Sweet 16.